is David Benjamin, Healthy Wild Free, and I'm going live today because I have noticed lately walking in the mountains on a nature trail in Vermont and just enjoying this day outside, getting some sun, fresh air, some movement. And I've noticed recently that there are just some health and wellness trends that I wanted to address. And so I just figured I'd go live and talk about these things and just warn people, just caution people of, you know, what these health trends are, and just to pay attention to like the demeanor of how different health and wellness teachers or coaches sort of educate and go about doing things. Because I've been teaching and educating on health and wellness for something like 15 years now. And although I'm not like, you know, a huge figure or anything like that, there's definitely a lot of extreme things that are occurring in the health and wellness world now that I think it's really important to caution people against and just help people understand with a little bit more depth the importance of these things. So, really, what I want to talk about today is the extreme nature of extreme ideas and how to know when something is too extreme for you. So, what do I mean by that? Let me unpack that a little bit. So there's three key areas I want to talk about today. Number one is diet, number two is fitness, and number three is fasting. Okay. So if you follow, like I do, different health and wellness people online, there are people that will talk about diet, there are people that will talk about fitness, there are people that will talk about fasting, there are people that will talk about all three of these. And what's interesting is that when people sort of get infatuated with their own category, be it diet, fitness, fasting, whatever it may be, you'll find that these people will often take those measures to the extreme in an effort to sort of validate what they're teaching and the importance of whatever it is they're talking about. So, for example, with diet, we have a lot of people in the health and wellness world now, today, that are talking about and teaching diet and nutrition, and you have people that are getting more and more extreme. So right now, like, veganism is crazy and extreme, but also being a carnivore is crazy and extreme to me, because I've been around and I've seen these different trends and these different diets and how it affects people, right? So for example, with veganism, you become deficient in protein, different amino acids, healthy fats, different key minerals, zinc, iron, different B vitamins, so on and so forth. So vegans have this challenge and this issue. But then people that are carnivore, they're eating a lot of meat. So their body's processing a very dense set of calories, a lot of fat, a lot of protein, and their kidneys and liver are working harder to process these dense calories. And these metabolic organs don't really get a break to have like something light like celery or a cucumber or watermelon or whatever. So and then what happens is, because the body is processing fat and protein, it is working very hard, and it begins to stress the body, because we're not meant to have only meat and we're not meant to have only vegetables. So as far as diet is concerned, just be weary of anyone who's pushing you into any of these sort of labels, these diet labels, veganism, carnivore, whatever it may be. So that's the first thing I want to talk about. The second thing I want to talk about is fitness. Now, I have a love-hate relationship with fitness in my life. I've done a lot of different things. I've had periods of my life where I've been more cardio heavy. Like, actually right now I'm doing a lot of cardio. Like, I'm walking miles a day, just walking a lot. And then I've had other periods of my life where I'm in the gym lifting weights, building muscle 6 days a week, which that was very extreme. Like, my body was tired. I started to get aches and pains. My posture wasn't as ideal as it could be. So I was adding strength to parts of my body that were actually making it worse. So while fitness is great, it's extreme to only do cardio, and it's extreme to only lift weights, in my opinion. Because then what's happening is you're you're working against yourself. So just like with your diet, if you're eating vegetables, fruit, and meat, you have metabolic flexibility. If you're only eating vegetables or you're only eating meat, you don't have a ton of metabolic flexibility because your metabolism is only breaking down what's given to it. So it becomes accustomed to these things. So if you eat meat for a while and then you start eating vegetables and fruit, your gut is going to be like, what is this? Your metabolism is going to be thrown off. It's going to be confused. That's why it's nice to have a balance. It's nice to have a harmony of different fruits, different vegetables, and meat, and eggs, and things like that. So same with your movement routines and movement patterns. You don't want to solely build muscle and become sort of this stiff, muscular robot. You want to build flexibility. You want to build mobility. You want to have cardiovascular capacity, VO2 max, lung capacity, and these other measures that really support your longevity and your health long term. So, kind of recapping this, with your diet, beware of extremes on either end of the spectrum. And those extremes are veganism and carnivore. Okay, both extreme. And I could go on for an entire hour about why they're both extreme. But long story short, you're going to have nutritional deficiencies as a vegan, and you're going to stress your metabolic organs as a carnivore, and also potentially not break down the fat and protein as well, because you're just giving your body too much of that. So then you could have protein accumulation in your body, which can clog up your body. So if your protein metabolism is not highly optimized and you go carnivore, well, your body is going to be really slugging and shrugging to get that protein metabolized. So just, beware of, as far as your diet is concerned, be aware of the extremes on either end of the spectrum. As far as fitness is concerned, be aware of the extremes on either end of the spectrum, right? The cardiovascular extreme, which is like David Goggins, or the muscle building extreme, Liver King. Like, these are both extremes. Like, you want muscle and you want cardiovascular capacity and VO2 max, but you don't want to be too pegged into one category, because then you're going to hurt your health and your longevity. Like, if you are searching for health and longevity with what you do, you want a little bit of it all. And you don't want to be top heavy or heavy, right? Like, when it comes to your fitness, it's not all about building your upper body. I used to build only my upper body. I used to be one of those dudes, which is funny because now I realize how crazy that is. Because your lower body, your quads, these groups of muscle, and your lower body are what actually produce HGH, human growth hormone. So if you're going to work any muscles as far as strengthening and conditioning, the best group of muscles you could possibly build is your legs, because that's going to give your body the most longevity. So if you're going for longevity, that's super important. But anyway, so, that, just recapping, diet extremes, beware of veganism and carnivore. Fitness extremes, be aware of extreme cardiovascular, stuff where you're like running, for miles, or doing this for miles and miles on end. You're actually stressing out your heart and your lungs, and you're shrinking their capacity. There's actually the guy, I forget his name, the guy that wrote the book on like long distance running, died of a heart attack while he was running. And if you look at long distance runners, you'll see that their body type is very small. They have very little muscular capacity. They are very lean. And this is because their heart and their lungs and their muscles quite literally shrink in order for their body to become as efficient as possible, to go as far as possible. It's an efficiency principle. And the problem with that is, as you age, you don't want to be really small and weak, because as you age, that's going to happen naturally. Your muscles will atrophy, your protein will break down, your muscles will break down, because your body will require it for other needs as you age. So you want to actually build at least some muscle, especially in your lower body as you age, because you want to be strong on your feet. You want to be sturdy. You want to be able to handle moving, mobility, flexibility, all these things. Because if you fall prematurely and break your hip, you quite literally, look at this dog. Look at this. Just getting in the mud, getting all those probiotics. Earth. Okay, you don't have to eat it. I got to clean all that later. So, yeah, so you have to be, careful with like the long distance running as well, because your cardiovascular capacity, while you may be increasing the efficiency of it, you're actually decreasing the VO2 max and lung capacity of short bursts. So you actually want your heart and your lungs to expand, not to contract. And long distance running actually contracts them for efficiency. So it reduces your oxygen and cardiovascular capacity. So I personally don't believe long distance running is a good thing. I don't think it's, bad to like jog and get your heart rate up here and there, but I don't think it's something, it's not, I wouldn't do it every day. I would not do it every day. It's very, the what you receive for the input, the output that you receive for the input is just, it's incredibly small. It's incredibly useless in my opinion. You'd be way better off just doing some squats in the gym and loading up some weight and building a little bit of muscle for your lower body. So that's another thing. And then the last thing I want to talk about is fasting, because I actually had a call with a friend of mine's cousin, because she had never fasted before and she was doing a 5-day fast out of nowhere. And, no experience fasting, just decided to fast and start with 5 days. And, I got on the phone with her and I was like, look, this is something like, it's a stressor on your body. And she was also working out while she was fasting. She did 2 workouts during that 5-day fast. So fasting is a stressor on your body. Keep this in mind. Fasting is a stressor on your body, and your body in a state of stress does not need more stress. So keep that in mind. So everything you do is either rebuilding, removing, or stressing your body. Rebuilding meaning like protein, amino acids, different vitamins and minerals that are sort of foundational to rebuilding your body. And then you have like the sort of detoxification aspect of removing. So removing and rebuilding are like the, giving to or removing from. And then you have like the stressed aspect of just like, things that induce stress. So that would be, for example, working out, fasting, just stress in general. These types of things, these stressors are part of that breakdown process. So part of that atrophy process. So if you are, for example, fasting and going to the gym and working out, that's actually dangerous, because your blood sugar levels are dropping substantially, especially the longer that you fast. And the longer that your blood sugar levels are low, the less fuel you have. And sure, you have ketones because you're in ketosis, but if your blood sugar levels get too low, you could literally just like faint. You could just pass out. So if you're doing like weight bearing, activities where you're loading up a bar and putting it over your shoulders or over your head and neck, and you're fasting, like, that's a bad idea. Especially if you're fasting for a long time. If you're doing an intermittent fast, that's not a big deal. But if you're fasting multiple days and you're going to the gym and putting weights on the bar, I would highly advise against that. Because if your blood sugar levels drop just a little bit too low, in an instant, that bar could drop on your neck and you could die. And this type of stuff happens. People die in the gym because they add too much weight or because they push themselves to the extreme. So, I guess I just wanted to get on here today because I don't really go live on YouTube, but I actually enjoy going live. So I think I'm going to go live more often and just talk about the things I'm seeing in the health and wellness world and kind of clear the air, clear the smoke a little bit to hopefully create more clarity and more coherence so that you can get the results that you're looking for. And yeah, just keep, beware of like the extremes of, once again, fasting and fitness and diet. Like each of these 3 are definitely, Nochi, come here. Give me a second. Get this dog on a leash. But yeah, each of those 3 things, diet, fitness, and fasting, they are just a little too extreme right now. There's a lot of extreme measures that people are taking to get results in each of those areas. So I would definitely recommend and advise to know what you're doing in each of those areas. And if you're going to do something new, especially if you're going to do something new, like for example, if you're going to fast for the first time, if you're going to go, even if you're going to go to the gym for the first time and lift weights, even if you're going to, try some new diet or something, anything that you're doing new in the world of health and wellness, this is a really good time to have a coach, someone that's been there, someone that's done that, someone that has experience and, doing things from scratch, someone that's screwed up before, someone that's learned the hard way, someone that's, injured themselves in the gym or, had digestive issues because of a diet or whatever. Like, do your research, do your homework. That's the point of Healthy Wild Free, is, really just to educate and create awareness on the value of these things. Like, a healthy diet is valuable, going to the gym, being fit is valuable, fasting is valuable. But at the same time, you could take this information, you could take diet, gym, fasting, you could take these variables and go and find some extreme, sort of nutcase online who's telling you that you should fast for 3 weeks and you've never fasted before. Like, you'll die. And I've literally, I literally know one person. I don't know him anymore, but I know a guy who was walking peep fasts, and a few people died under his care because he had no idea what he was doing. And to me, that's just sad. Like, you shouldn't be in a position where you're looking